Tell me what's good, tell me what's nice. Keeping it cool, keeping it calm, keeping it light. Time to rejoice. What's good, what's good, what's good with John and Joyce.
All right, Joyce, let's do it. Is my posture okay?
Oh, yeah, you're okay.
Okay.
You know what I forgot? Your coffee smells so good. I don't know where it went to.
Moonshots Coffee, one
Which
of our
one? Which one
sponsors.
was
I went
that?
to the one in Brantford, the brand new one that just opened up.
Oh.
Moonshots, awesome. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors, Moonshot, Linda Toscano, our realtor to the stars, Woodwinds, who we love so much, Ascend
I
Bank.
was eating Chef Silvio's sauce last night.
Oh, God, yeah, from Woodwinds.
Yes, the best.
It is so
The best.
good, so
Yeah.
good. I'd like to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors. Woodwinds Wedding and Special Events Venue and Silvio Sauces, thewoodwinds.com. Ascend Bank, they don't just see your accounts, they see your vision and ambitions. Ascend.bank. Moonshots, a vegan-based company that delivers the highest quality organic juices, coffee, bowls, and so much more. DrinkMoonshots.com. Linda Toscano of Caldwell Banker Realty in Guilford, Connecticut. With over 17 years of experience, Linda is known for her authentic, client-focused approach and expert guidance for buyers and sellers. Now, if you're thinking about making a move, Linda Toscano is someone you can trust. We're deeply grateful to all of our sponsors for their support and for partnering with us to uplift and enrich the lives of our listeners and viewers. Well, speaking of so good, Joyce, by the way, I'm John Cadillac Seville from iHeartRadio and John Seville Entertainment. And what's your name again?
I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? I'm your co-host.
But I had a chance to meet our guest over at a Tim Tebow Foundation Night to Shine that I was emceeing and DJing, and she was there to help out. And I'm looking out at the crowd, and all of a sudden my eyes go, whoa, beautiful 1,000-watt smile, and we just kind of connected afterwards, found out she goes to the very same church that I go to. We have a very, very deep faith. And in this business that we're in, the entertainment business, broadcasting, you know about that, Joyce.
Yeah.
You have to have a thick skin. If you have faith, it helps you a lot more to get where you're going, right? But she does the weekend anchor work over at Channel 8. And Channel 8 is a partner with iHeartRadio. And we're just so
and
thrilled
ABC
to have
affiliate,
you.
Right?
They are.
Yeah.
So thrilled to have you here, Mackenzie Maynard.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome, Mackenzie.
So excited to
I'm so
be
excited
here.
to meet you and to hear your story.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I have to tell you, when I was a little child and I'm sitting in the back seat of my family's car, I always have these tales of woe. I said, I know what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a weather girl. And my father said, pipe dreams.
Ooh.
And I remember feeling like, oh, so I can't do that. But I remember that because I so wanted to be, I wanted to talk about the weather. I just wanted to be. Did you start out as doing weather, or were you an anchor right away?
So, no. Oh, my gosh. Imagine just getting into the industry and becoming an anchor right away.
Right. What
I'm
did
sure
you
there's
do?
someone who does it.
Tell me the steps of what it took.
So I'm so lucky because I come from an amazing family. My mom was always the type of person to say, dream big and then achieve bigger than that. So never limit yourself. You can be the greatest thing in the world. So she always kind of planted that seed and, no dream is ever too big. And so I remember being 6 years old, we were watching the Today Show, Katie Couric and Matt Lauer at the time. And I looked at my mom and I said, hey, Mom, I'm going to be Katie Couric one day.
Wow.
And she just was sipping her coffee and she looked at me and she said, I know you are.
That is awesome.
There you go.
And
There
so
you go.
for me, ever since that young age, I have pursued this career and ferociously, if you will.
Yes.
So I started my career in Washington State. And it's so funny because I talk about it now, but I remember getting the offer letter in my inbox, $20,000 to move across the country alone. And I was like, hey, Dad, is that really the salary price or the amount? And he was like, okay, well, good luck.
And that takes a lot of courage.
It does.
To go from one part from the West Coast right over to the East Coast. A lot of faith, too.
Alone.
It was, and I am so grateful that I have my faith because it's my faith that I knew. I applied to 93 stations all across the country. I mean, every inch of the country. And this was the first one I had heard back from.
Wow.
So
93.
93.
Yeah. And I mean, to the point where I would get so excited that I would get like a ping email back from like the robot, saying like, we've received your application. I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Wow. But 93, and how many of those people, one got back to you?
One.
But you never gave up?
No. And
did you send a video clip in? Or
yeah, so you send like your videotape and your resume. And I had, I'm just coming out of college. So I went to University of Massachusetts Amherst and sent it all away. I was super excited. I ended up packing 3 suitcases with like those vacuum seal bags so I could fit out everything I owned in them. And a duffel bag of my shoes. And then I called the Toyota dealer who I had set up a lease through in Washington and said, I don't have money for a taxi. I need you to pick me up at the airport.
Really?
And that's how it all started.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how many stations have you worked at?
I have worked,
years?
so I was in Washington for 2 years as I started as a reporter and then became the weekend anchor there. Then I went to San Diego, which
I
is
love San Diego.
beautiful.
The weather, the people.
Oh my gosh, it is so great. So I was at the NBC station, and then I actually did about a year and a half at the ABC station there. So spent some time, and then I really missed family, and my family's up in Boston. So I wanted to get back to Boston.
So you're a Massachusetts girl.
I am born and bred. So came back to Connecticut and was here for 2 years, went to Long Island, and then came back to Connecticut a year ago.
So when you went back to Massachusetts, you actually worked on a station there. And
I did. I couldn't talk about the whole, getting rejected and turned around. I went door to door knocking and trying to talk with news directors in Boston from San Diego. And they said, nope, we're not hiring, better luck in a couple of years. And I said, I don't have a couple of years.
Right.
I want to move in a month.
Right. But it's amazing because, somebody will look at you and say, I mean, how can you get rejected? You seem to have
you're
it all
perfect
together.
for it. You've got the
Perfect for it.
experience now. You've got the looks for it, everything.
But
and
the
you're
thing is,
smart.
you never know what people are looking for. Some people say, you're too pretty, you're not pretty enough. You're too tall, you're not tall enough, whatever. It's like I talk to a lot of actors, and they'll go in there, and it's brutal.
Listen.
They'll go into that room. They'll look at you within 3 seconds. No, see ya. Goodbye.
Totally.
I mean, there's just no real compassion or handling it with kid gloves.
Right.
It's just brutal.
Yes.
At times.
Yes.
Right, Joyce?
Yes. I mean, I remember years and years of being told I was too young. Or I had little kids and they were nervous about that. And then you jump to, you're too old for something. It's like, what happened?
Yeah.
And how dare they judge?
I know.
You're
Now, how did you handle the rejection? I mean, I know you have a deep faith. We talked about all three of us do. But it still stings. We're still humans.
Totally. I mean, I think rejection is normal, right? And especially coming into this industry and setting up with those 93 emails and applications and only hearing back from one really paved the way for me. I said, okay, I need to have a thick skin and I have to continue to pray through it. Put it this way, when I graduated college, I said, I'm going to work in Colorado Springs. Don't ask me why this was the plan that I had. I was going to go to Colorado Springs, Austin, Texas, and then back to Boston. Well, God took me to Washington State, San Diego, Connecticut. So I always say he has such a better and greater plan that I just have to trust, especially in an industry where you kind of throw a dart at the map and you say, okay, let's pack our bags and we move. But I did not want, and I'm so sorry to say this, I did not initially want to move to Connecticut. I was like, I want to get back to Massachusetts. I love Massachusetts. Connecticut's not really where I want to be. Well, fast forward, I met my future husband here. So, yeah.
The firefighter. What's his first name?
John.
Hey, John.
Another
Yes.
John.
Yeah, I love a John.
Yeah, right. Every house has one.
Yeah.
Every business has one.
My Uncle John.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and he's amazing. And he
so meant
is
to be.
someone who fully supports my career, which is really hard to find. I mean, to have someone who is going to be okay with working weekends, working nights, working overnights, and we may or may not have to move one day. So
And it's also a trust element, too, because you're in the public eye.
totally.
And the same thing I know, with my bride, Patty. Same thing, like people will say stuff to her all the time, and she says, but he always comes home to me.
Right.
Always comes
Right.
home to me, and
Yeah.
it's good to have that supportive,
Totally.
spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend type thing.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
It really is. It's so important. And again, it just goes back to, God places us exactly where we're meant to be, right at the right moment. And he also finds ways of threading these amazing individuals and relationships in there. So I look at like friendships who I've, become so close with through my time in Washington State, San Diego. It's so funny because we're planning our wedding and we're doing a destination wedding because so many of my friends have to fly no matter what.
Where's the destination wedding?
We're going to get married in Playa del Carmen, Mexico.
Oh.
Yes, in December. So
In December?
Yes.
Well, congratulations ahead of time. That's
wonderful.
awesome.
So excited.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Road trip, Joyce.
That's it.
Wait, yeah.
Take
Okay.
the show on the road.
So I'm just curious about, you had to have had the talk about, he's got his career. You've got your career. What happens if you get a terrific offer across the country?
Yeah. So it's so amazing because, of course, we've had these conversations. Now, I'll be honest, his mom is more like,
Right. Yeah.
who did you pick to marry? And we've always decided, East Coast is always our main goal, to stay specifically in the Northeast. We love it here. But
Massachusetts would be ideal.
you know what? I love New York. The idea of New York, especially with him being a firefighter in Stamford,
Yes.
that would
Close.
be,
Yes.
just such a great
I love New York.
space for us.
Yeah.
But if LA calls tomorrow and they say, hey, we've
And
got...
it's a fantastic
We're going to give you
offer.
$500,000.
Yeah, it's a fantastic
I don't even
offer.
know if I would pack a suitcase. I would be on the plane so
Right,
fast.
right, yeah. That's right.
But he knows that. So,
Totally.
yeah.
He knows that. And we decided, no matter what, it would be something that we either figure out. And if it's going to be long term, then he set himself up. So, he could follow me out there after, a certain amount of time. So for us, it's just it's such a blessing to be able to have a partner who will never hold me back and who's like, how can I instead lift you up to get to your full
That is
potential?
a strong man. Does he have a deep faith as well?
He does. He does. And he was there with me.
Was he there that night?
Yeah, Night to Shine. He was super excited. So he has actually such a heart for our special needs community.
Wow.
And he worked through college with this one family who has a severely autistic son.
Yeah.
And John traveled with them, took care of him, really became such a key part of his life. And so for him, that is just something that he's like, together we will forever be like shepherds of that community and do whatever we can to
What a great
give
match
back.
you both are. The same giving hearts,
Yeah.
deep faith. I really admire that.
That's why God sent you to Connecticut.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Thank goodness. Yeah. See, it all works out.
Yes,
That's
it
why I never
does.
doubt. And, it's so funny because people come to me and they say, well, your career is so uncertain. You only get these, 2-year contracts. And then what happens? How do you stay so positive and so light? And I look at my life for the past 33 years and it's so cliche, but I'm like, well, he never let me down. Why would God start
Right.
now?
That's right. And the thing is, gratitude is riches. I learned that a long, long time ago. And we live in a very transient world and a transient business, as you know, being involved in the entertainment business. I see it in radio all around me, but I just focus on one day at a time.
Right.
Like Jesus
So
said,
you're not worrying about it.
no, Jesus said, do not worry about tomorrow. 365 times in the Bible, one for each day. Do not worry about tomorrow. It's not a suggestion, it's a command.
Yes.
Right.
And it's hard to, because, the flesh always wants to get in the way and say, worry, 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 or the devil. But we really have to have that trust. And it's not easy.
No, especially
It's
when
not
stuff
easy.
happens.
All around you.
Yeah. I mean, you have to really, I think, get quiet
Yes.
and go to that place inside of you and know that everything's going to work out the way it should.
And so far, so good
supposed
over at
to.
Channel 8, right?
So far, so great. Yeah. I love
I
it
love
there.
that.
It's
So far, so great.
So
been-
that's good. I like
It's
that.
been so amazing. I'm, like we mentioned on the weekend evening show, my co-anchor, Scott Gagliardi, he is fabulous. So he's our meteorologist.
Right.
And I just have such a great team. Everybody is so positive and, you want to be around people who love what they do.
Yes,
And I'm lucky
yes,
to
yes.
work with people. I mean, everybody in that station loves what they do.
Yeah, that's so awesome. They lift each other up,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Lift each other up. Now, what's your long-term goal? I know you're over at Channel 8. Do you make long-term goals? What ideally would you like to do?
Yeah. So, like I said, I want to be the next Katie Couric. And it stands
You want
true.
to do substantial interviews
Yeah,
with people.
I
and-
definitely see myself striving to get as far as my career will take me. So whether that is working for the network, anchoring for the network,
Yeah.
but that is something that has been on my heart since I was 6, and all these.
And your
years
mom said
later-
you can do it.
Yes.
She did. And, my mom actually passed in November of this year,
I'm sorry.
which we weren't expecting at all. She was sick for a while, but that has been something you talk about, looking at your circumstance and saying, okay, how do I respond in this? I could come at this with anger. I could come at this with frustration, with all the things that the devil wants me to come at it with.
Yes.
But instead, I really prayed on it. And I am so lucky that I had, 32 years with her to build me into the woman who I am.
Yes.
And she always said, don't give up, keep pushing, keep believing.
Oh, what a great mom. Jeez.
Yeah.
No, she
What a
was
legacy.
the best. And so, I say all the time, I'm like, she might not be able to be here, but she's watching and she'll see when I can sit on that couch on the Today Show or Good Morning America.
Oh, 100%.
And she'll be right there for it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think about my mom too, Joyce and Mackenzie. My mom was my best friend, and she passed away about 4 years ago. But she always said, "You can do whatever you want."
Yeah.
She believed in me. When I did theater on stage, I'd come home from school, and she'd read me my lines. I go in the room, she'd read me my lines. I say, "Mom," I talk about all this music I like, and I bring home the records or the albums at home, and she'd come in the room and listen to them with me. Always to do that. My mom and dad were just awesome. They spoke faith in me. They believed in me. And I know that you had great parents, Joyce, who really believed in you
Yeah.
as well.
Even though they said I couldn't sing or had pipe dreams, no. But my mother,
They still love you.
all right, no, they're very grounded. They're very grounded people. Anyone who knows like typical astrology, they're Capricorns. Capricorns are earthy people, so they were both like that. But my mother was always a champion, and I even carry her card with me that I didn't realize with a birthday card she sent me before she passed. And it was kind of sudden. It was a little over 10 years ago. But it was the words in the card that basic, what you're both talking about. You can do anything. You are this. You are beautiful. You are strong. You are, and it's like, wow. So they never go away. I mean, they're always with you. The pain lessens, within you, and you learn to encompass them more. The love of that they brought to us and the lessons they taught us just lives on, and you could feel them.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your mother is always rooting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know. I have a really funny story. So I've been reading this book about how to, kind of hold on to my mom, even though she has passed, and how to kind of see her signs as she brings them to me. So they say, you're supposed to ask for a sign, be specific and ask. So my mom always set the bar really high for my brother and I. And so I'm going to set the bar high for her. So I said, I was praying and I was talking to her one night and I said, send me a Ferris wheel for my birthday.
Wow.
And so I talked
And
to
that's
one of
specific.
and I was talking to one of my good friends, Lexi, who she's actually a singer, and she wrote a song that's on Spotify and all the streaming platforms that is about grieving and how to.
What's the name of the song so our viewers and
it's
listeners?
Butterfly.
Butterfly?
Yes.
Butterfly?
So
And by
she-
who?
Lexi White.
Lexi White Butterfly.
Okay.
If you're
I'm
grieving
gonna
and you
check
need
that
a...
out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she lost her best friend when her best friend was just 16 years old. So, she went through grief at such a young age. And so she's been someone who I've leaned on a lot. But so I told her that I asked for a Ferris wheel, and she's like, okay, well, usually people start with like a heart
Right.
or a butterfly
Yeah,
or a
right.
cardinal. And I said, no, I know she's going to send it. So my birthday was on Saturday. Sunday, we're in our last show of the weekend, and it's in our sports segment, which is our last block, and it's the last story in sports, and it's a basketball tournament. And isn't it a Ferris wheel on the middle of the hard court?
What?
And it's the MAC championship playoffs, which obviously my name is
Wow,
Mackenzie. So
Yes.
I was like, she really went above and beyond with that one.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, isn't that just, I was like, holy moly. So to me, I totally agree. She is with me in every minute of every day.
But you were aware. You were paying attention. And a lot of people do get messages for various reasons. I mean, from God.
Yes.
But they sometimes don't pay attention to the little things that it's like, yes, that Ferris wheel was there. That is what you asked for.
I think prayers is so important. I'll pray that a lot in the morning. Father, just clear my mind. Help me tune into what you're saying each and all throughout the day, because there's so much noise out there.
So much noise.
And the devil's biggest weapon is distraction. And I just want to be focused on the word, and I keep going back to it throughout the day. And sometimes you hear him, sometimes you don't. Sometimes we all go through these points where it's like, where are you?
Yeah.
But we know he's there. We just know he's there, working behind the scenes.
Right. I know. Well, in church on Sunday, Pastor Dave was talking about
Who's going to be a guest in an upcoming episode?
can't
Pastor
wait.
Dave Taylor.
I cannot wait to hear that. He is awesome. But he was talking about one of my favorite stories in the Bible, where the fishermen are trying to cross the sea and a storm comes and Jesus is sleeping.
I love that. It's my favorite.
My goodness, how many times in my life have I been like, are you sleeping?
Yes.
Can you wake up,
Right.
please?
And then Jesus wakes up, right? And he said, and he was frustrated. The human side of him.
Yes.
How much longer must I suffer with thee? You just picture him saying that, right? You guys have seen me feed the thousands with the
Heal
bread.
people.
You see me heal people, the lepers, raise the lame, and you still doubt.
Yeah, right. And that's how
Crazy.
he probably feels with me too. He's like,
But
How
thank
much do I
goodness
have
for that story, that parable, because when our boats get rocked, and they do in this life,
Daily.
that is one to go back to, like, he is there. There is something greater, whether they call it the universe or God protecting you. It is all one and the same. But put your focus on that instead of on all the other stuff you don't like. And then that will grow in front of you, just like the Ferris wheel showed up, because you were paying attention to that.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
Now, so what else do you like to do when you're not doing your TV thing? What are some of the fun
Yeah.
hobbies you have, or some of the... So we get to know Mackenzie a little bit more.
Yeah.
Peel back the layers.
Okay, so John, obviously, is my fiance who I've talked about. He was a police canine before he became a firefighter. So we have a beautiful German Shepherd, Axel, who served
Wow, I love
Yes.
shepherds.
served 5 years for the city of Derby, and now he's retired. And I make sure to spoil him in his
that's
retirement.
Yes.
So we love a hike, traveling to all the amazing trails all over Connecticut, and
How
just
marvelous.
yeah. So that is something I love, going on adventures with my little guy, and exploring the great outdoors when it's not pollen season, because right now
Yeah. It's a little rough out there.
It's a little rough out there
this
now.
is like, oh my goodness, yeah.
You maybe just want to clear my throat. Just
You ever have that happen just before you go on the air, and it's like, oh no, your eyes are watering up. You know how you get self-conscious sometimes, or
Yes.
it's like, oh,
Is
am
my
I okay,
Is
camera
my nose
person?
running?
Right,
Yes,
right.
Yeah. Or I have like a scratch or a tickle, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can talk through it, and then I can't, and I'm like,
Right.
See, that's one of the advantages I have, since I voice track all the different radio stations I'm
Right.
on. If I don't like the way it sounds or I'm coughing, I could just track it over again. You're live.
yeah, right.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
There's no do-overs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
You just have to say, so sorry about that.
Right.
Like I was saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
But that's what makes you human, relatable. People like to see that.
Yeah.
No.
Now it's a different world. In the past, I'm sure when Katie Couric first started, everything was just very set.
Totally.
But now you'll go viral, and it's good viral if something happens, because it shows you're human. If you fell off a chair, if you had to-
Maybe if you fell off the chair here on What's Good, that would make it go viral, and
there we
we'll
go.
elevate
Yeah,
our
right.
subscriptions. What do you think?
All right, you snap and I'll fall.
Yeah, we don't want to manifest hurting people.
No, I'll tuck and roll. It's
That's
okay.
right.
It'll be a soft landing.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Tuck and roll. I love that term. Tuck and roll. Yeah.
Oh, but it's so true, because even, I mentioned Scott, who's my co-anchor.
Scott Gagliardi.
He is awesome.
Scotty, baby, you rock.
Yeah, he really does. And so him and I have such a unique friendship, because we like to be sarcastic with one another. And sometimes we're like, are viewers understanding that we actually are friends?
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Oh,
we'll go
yeah,
back and
yeah.
forth. And I'm like, well, it's nice that you got it right today.
Right, well.
And we just joke back and forth all the time. But then you get the emails and people are like, my gosh, it's so fun and refreshing to just watch you both,
Yes.
not
yes.
be so professional and scripted, but rather just two people who we
Right.
feel like we're hanging out with.
Right.
Yeah, it's all about being
So-
relatable. You have a chance to make a friend every time you're on TV, on radio. You have a chance to really make a friend. And that's great. It's all about relationship.
Yes.
But I have this burning question for any anchor,
Yes.
and now I'm sitting in front of one. So just for a little backstory. So I have, a degree and being a therapist. And one of the first things that I
It
had
helps
to
her deal with
learn-
me.
A lot, yes,
All right, Joyce?
for the both of us.
Yeah.
But with doing my internship, one of the first things that I needed to learn is how not to engage in the person's story, their sorrows, and because I can only help them if I don't do that. And I'm listening, but I'm being helpful. So I think of people like you. How do you adjust? You could be telling a horrific story. I mean, you've told them all of what happens because the news, let's face it, is a lot of bad news. Then how do you make that transition to, and now, the weather is, or in sports today, or this fun thing happened. How do you make the transition? How do you not keep it in you when you leave?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question because the news is heavy, right? And I think so many people don't turn the news on because they don't want to have all that negativity. And so I think for me, when I'm reading scripts and I'm reading the stories, it is somewhat easier to read it when there isn't a face to the story. Whereas if I'm sitting and interviewing someone who just had a traumatic life event that they're sharing with that, I carry way more. And that is a heavier load to carry than
see.
reading. But I also want everyone who is watching and every family member who may be impacted by whatever story I'm reading to feel the sentiment, because I do feel for each person who has to, I'm telling everyone's bad days. Your worst day is the day that I'm talking about. That's my job. And it is really hard and it is heavy, but I think it all goes back to my faith. And so if I can be the gentle voice that's sharing your worst day, at least I can do that, take a minute or take, a breath or a pause and then kind of switch gears. But to, in that one script, be fully aware that this is someone's worst day. So I need to make sure that I'm aware of that, and I'm also transcending that over the airways.
Do you find yourself praying for that person like during a commercial break or maybe before or after the story?
Yeah. Oh my
and their
gosh.
family?
The person affected, the family, the friends. I mean, it's such a ripple effect of, this one person or this one story, but it affects so many people throughout our community. So, I think not only just praying for them, but also it reassures me to get out and do good and to smile at people and to have patience as you go through your day. Because if you can be someone's good moment, and I know we were texting and talking about this on the phone, but a smile can go just as long as a bad news story.
That's right.
Stop, smile, let someone go, pick up
Yes.
someone's coffee.
Yes.
It's those little things that can make someone's day a little bit better because you have no idea what they woke up carrying.
Right.
And it sounds, some
Right.
people think, oh, it's so Pollyanna, so kumbaya. I don't buy that at all.
No.
We live in such a divided world. I've never seen it quite like this. People are so angry now. So if we can go out there and just be
And a lot of
kind,
it
be
is
good to
because of
people.
social media, just keeping things alive, which we didn't have in the past.
Yeah.
So now it is. But when you do that little act of kindness for someone, you reap the rewards. So the other day, not to pat myself on the back, this is just to say how
Now
it
let's
works.
hear it. No,
no,
let's
no,
hear it,
no.
Joyce.
No, there was a woman struggling with her. She had like a little walker thing, and she had a heavy, heavy bag, and she was trying to get to the second floor of this store that I was in, and she left the little walker type thing there. And I said, no, let me get that for you. I'll grab your bag. Well, I grabbed her bag, and it nearly took me to the floor. I don't know what the heck she had in that bag.
Right.
But it's like, she was saying to me, are you okay? I said, I got it. I got you.
right.
I got you,
That's
walking up.
awesome. Yeah.
But that made me feel good.
Right,
I mean,
right.
plus, she got a favor, and I had the people put it behind the desk so that she could shop upstairs.
Yeah.
But it's all like, you get that feeling like you're in the light of God. That is saying that this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
You know?
Well, and I think, yes, you could buy someone's coffee, buy someone's lunch, but it also doesn't have to have a monetary value.
Nope.
Everyone is so impatient and so quick to get to the next thing and hurry up and let me get my coffee and move out of the way and let me park my car and you're taking too long and honking their horn. If you
Yes,
just bring
I
a little bit of
know.
patience to someone's life and
Right.
It has a domino effect.
it really does. And it costs nothing to be nice. I mean, it's so cliche, but it really doesn't.
And I think eye contact is so important. If I'm going to be in line, I'm getting my coffee, I look to my right, my left, and I'm going to look you in the eye, and say what's good today, and talk about something.
Yeah.
Something.
Right.
It's just my nature. I love to do that. And the conversations, the friends you make,
Yeah.
and you'll make, like you said, it could make their day.
Yeah.
in so
And it's
many ways.
I'm gonna leave on the words of my mom when she said to me when I was a little kid, if you see something you like on someone, tell them.
Yes.
Because so many times you'll think it, you never say it, and they wonder even why you're looking at them like that. And if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it.
Zip it up.
Yeah, zip it.
Zip it up, right? Right.
Zip it up.
Oh, this has been an absolute joy.
I can't believe that's it.
Mackenzie Maynard, to have you on from Channel 8 news anchor with Scott Gagliardi over the weekends. Best to you and John, your fiance. Got the destination wedding coming up in December. And
And
so
Axel.
great. Axel, you're a retired shepherd, right?
Yes.
And it's great to see you at church. And I just really admire your faith. I admire what you're putting out there. I just admire your whole attitude. And I'm just so glad your mom spoke such faith in you.
Yes.
God rest her soul. She's still here with you.
Yes.
And thank you, Mackenzie, for being part of What's Good with John
so
and Joyce.
love meeting you. Thank you for coming on our
Thank
show.
you. This was such a treat.
Subscribe on YouTube. It's absolutely free. Share it with everybody you know who needs a pick-me-up 30 minutes each and every week. I'm John Cadillac Seville from iHeartRadio, along with my buddy, Joyce Aru Logan.
We love you.
Mackenzie,
Bye
we
for
love
now.
you too. All right.
Love you guys.
Thank you, folks. Bye.
Hey, I heard you got engaged. Congratulations. Now it's time to book the DJ. And that's where we come in.
I'm John Cadillac Seville with John Seville Entertainment, Wedding Wire, and the Knot 2026 Couples Choice Awards winner. You can call me directly if you like at 203-988-0658. We'll set up your free consultation or go to johncaddyman.com. That's 203-988-0658 or johncaddyman.com. We offer excellence, peace of mind, and a great time for all. John Seville Entertainment, a name you know and can trust.